There's a road on the outskirts of town, one that people in the community avoid as much as possible. Locals called it Black Hollow Road, and everyone knew the tales, stories of disappearances, ghostly figures, and the eerie silence that blanketed the road, even in the middle of the day. But to outsiders, it was just another shortcut. Tom, a young driver, was one of those outsiders. One rainy night, in a rush to make it home, he decided to take the infamous road despite the warnings. The GPS showed it would cut 20 minutes off his trip, and he wasn't one to believe in ghost stories. As Tom drove deeper into the road, the rain began to pour harder. The trees lining the road seemed to bend inward, casting shadows that played tricks on his mind. The radio began to static, and the once faint humming of his car engine seemed swallowed by the pressing darkness. Suddenly, through the sheets of rain, Tom saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. He slammed on his brakes, narrowly avoiding what seemed to be a woman in tattered clothing. His heart pounded as he rolled down his window slightly, shouting to see if she was okay. But the woman just stood there, her head hanging low, wet hair obscuring her face. Against his better judgment, Tom stepped out of the car, shouting again, but his words were drowned out by the storm. As he got closer, he noticed something was wrong. Her feet were floating just above the ground. Frozen in terror, Tom backed away, but the figure began to move toward him, her head snapping up to reveal hollow, black eyes. Panicking, he rushed back to his car, fumbling with the keys, the engine stuttering to start. As the figure came closer, her voice cut through the rain, a chilling whisper calling his name. His heart raced as he floored the gas, speeding down the road, not daring to look back. Just as he thought he'd escaped, the car's engine died. The headlights flickered, leaving him in complete darkness. Desperation clawed at him as he tried the ignition, but the car refused to start. Then, in the rearview mirror, he saw her, sitting in the back seat, her lifeless eyes locked onto his. In that moment, Tom's vision blurred, and everything went black. He woke up in a hospital bed, confused and disoriented. His family was gathered around him, relief washing over their faces. They told him that his car had been found overturned at the bottom of a hill off Black Hollow Road. Miraculously, Tom had survived the crash with only minor injuries. As he processed what had happened, an elderly nurse entered the room. She listened to his story, her face growing pale. With a trembling voice, she said, "You're not the first to survive that road, but you're the first to escape her." Tom asked what she meant. The nurse explained that many years ago, a woman had been killed on that very road in a hit-and-run accident. Her spirit was said to haunt the area, causing fatal crashes for those who took the road at night. But she never let anyone live, until now. Before the nurse left, she whispered one last thing. "Whatever you saw, she's chosen to spare you. You're safe now, but don't go back." That night, as Tom lay in bed, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Just as sleep started to take him, he heard a soft whisper in his ear. "I spared you for a reason. Don't forget." From then on, Tom's life changed. His near-death experience had left him with a new sense of purpose. Unbeknownst to him, the spirit had spared him because of something deep within him, a strength to help others avoid the same fate. He started sharing his story, warning others about Black Hollow Road, and many credited him with saving their lives. As for the spirit, she was never seen again on that road. But Tom knew she was always watching, a silent guardian who had found peace in his survival. He could live his life knowing he had not just escaped death, but had been given a second chance.